Glad to be with you guys. Glad to be with you on this evening. It's an honor. I'll leave it at that. It's an honor.
You were a weatherman, and weathermen are loved and also hated.
Indeed. Indeed.
Here in San Diego, it's not a real tough job. It's going to be sunny and warm tomorrow, as it was yesterday and the day before. But it could be tricky in other parts of the country.
But the pay's still good. It's just a matter of whether you're bored doing your job or not.
But you left that job and that good pay, and whenever you get FaceTime on TV, it's pretty good, to do some investigations. And you started a site called Weatherwars.Info. And you posed the question right under that title on your site: is weather control possible?
Yep. Absolutely. That was my conclusion. Is absolutely it's possible. And we're going to jump ahead, and I'm going to say that there is no natural weather left across this country.
Wow.
And it may be that there is no natural weather left across the bulk of the civilized world. Because when you begin to introduce an effect into a biosphere or into a closed system, because the Earth is a closed system, much like a swimming pool. You can put a small child at one end of that pool, and yet the waves or the actions of that child's agitation will propagate across the entire depth and width of the pool. And it happens quickly to get through this. So
now, a lot of people may say, well, this sounds fabulous, what you're laying out, governments having technology to control the weather. But let me tell you a story. When I was a kid, my dad worked for the government. He was a contracts manager, and he worked for the government procuring different military equipment. And he was a contracts manager. He would go there and negotiate with the companies and sign contracts for the purchase of different infrared vision and all kinds of stuff. And he worked on the other side as well throughout his career, working for companies selling to the government. So he traveled all over the world, and he got a secret clearance pass when he was working with the government. And he told me one time they blindfolded him and put him in a car. And they took him somewhere. He didn't know where he was going. And when they got to the destination, took the blindfold off. It was a top secret laboratory where they're working on weapon systems. And he told me that all kind of professors there, all kind of scientists, and he said these guys are so into what they're doing, they're walking around with different colored socks and stuff on because, their minds are elsewhere, not thinking about clothing. And he told me they're working on, and this was way back when I was a kid, this is decades ago, a weapon to make earthquakes around the world. And I said, really? And he said, yeah, this way, you could attack an enemy. You don't have to fire a shot. You don't have to drop a bomb, and you could cause a catastrophe in your enemy's country. He says, right now, they have the ability, but they're working on the accuracy. They don't want to cause an earthquake in the wrong place. And that kind of blew my mind, and I kind of forgot about it. And then when we had our guest David Bake coming on, talk about scalar wave technology, it was like it triggered that memory, my dad telling me that.
Yep. And I would bet my next 10 years worth of income that earthquake in Virginia and the one in Colorado are connected. They're connected. Those were, I don't know if it was Russian, whether it was CIA versus military versus CIA, or exactly. So,
well, Scott,
the weather is just a part of it. It's just part of one of those pieces of the puzzle that just isn't fitting quite right with how it should be. It's just one piece.
And unfortunately, whenever they come up with this kind of amazing technology, folks, it is truly amazing and has been kept under wraps to the masses. But we like to expose things here on the show. It's not always. It's never used, actually, really used for the good of humanity. It's always weaponized and used against us.
Well, and that's kind of the disappointing thing about with it, and why I started Weatherwars.Info. Was I got frustrated, and I'm up in front of my audience, and I have to explain, why a snowfall forecast of 4 to 8 inches ended up with just a trace, with the ski resorts getting just 2 inches, and I would let's stay up late on those nights when the storms are inbound, and go outside at 1 o'clock. Is it snowing yet? Is it snowing yet? Has it begun? You look at it on the storm on radar, and it looks like it's coming together, and then it just gives up the ghost. Mm-hmm. And so I'd step outside and where's the bottom of the clouds? And where's the definite bottom of the clouds? You need to see that. And I would look up, and the sky has just gone hairy, just thin. And then some of the brighter stars are twinkling through, and I'm like, bloody hell. And then I would hear early in the morning, in the middle of nowhere, eastern Idaho, this low-flying jet. It's a commercial jet. And I'm like, what the heck? What is that doing there now? It was completely out of place. Mm-hmm. And so that's kind of when I was convinced that much of this technology is now airborne. Mm. It's aloft. They don't need the bases. They just fly the bloody transmitters or receivers or ionization low and slow. And, we have an antiquated air traffic control system in this country. Yeah. And the powers that be do not want it upgraded, even though that needed to have been done in the early 90s. They don't want it upgraded because it will reveal the existence of another fleet of planes, flying across this country and surrounding areas. And if the planes aren't squawking on their transponders, then they're invisible. They're invisible. And if we go to GPS tracking and some of the new technology that the FAA would like to implement, then they become visible. And then they've got to explain why here, and I'm in the San Luis Valley in southern Colorado, why I have 747s flying at 16,000 feet, which is just 8,000 feet off the ground here, at 2 in the morning. Mm-hmm. What's that plane doing here? They're really, really good at controlling the flow of information. And if you can keep it compartmentalized, then nobody has the vision to see it all put together.